Her cry was the sort that hushed the sparrows. Clara's wrists were pinned to the earth, her cheek grazed the rough soil, a heavy boot pressed into her spine. She couldn't budge. Behind her, Caleb was shouting too, pleading. His voice broke as he called her name. One of them held her down. Another rummaged through the pantry. Glass broke, stools toppled, pans crashed to the ground. The third was striking Caleb with a pickaxe. She heard the snaps. Bone, metal, then silence. No more pleas, no more names, just quiet. Then came the demands. "Where's the silver?" She stayed silent. Her mouth tasted of blood and grit. They tore shelves from the counter, flung journals at the walls, pried up planks with iron bars. Nothing. "She's hiding it. He swore he had a cache. Find it." They dragged her to the storeroom, slammed her against the boards. She could hardly stand. Blood stained her skirt. That's when she made her break. Through the window. Shards sliced her shoulder. She didn't notice. She ran. Twigs scratched her face. Her chest ached. The sun was fading fast. No time to think. Just go. Don't stop. Don't fall. Behind her, boots thumped on the porch. Curses flew. Shots rang out. She didn't look back. A mile out, the forest parted, the land flattened, and there, at the edge, stood the homestead. Amos Carver's homestead. She collapsed by the fence, clutching the one thing she'd grabbed, a wooden box, heavy, splintered, worn. She didn't recall taking it, but now it was her anchor. Amos was forging steel when he heard the thud. He dropped his hammer, turned, stopped cold. Clara Vance was on her knees in the dust, dress ripped, blood on her jaw, hair matted with sweat, arms wrapped around a box, like it was her kin. He rushed to her. She looked up, eyes frantic. "Amos," she whispered. "They killed him. They're coming." Then she fainted. Amos lifted her carefully. She felt light, as air, like fear wrapped in skin. Inside the cabin, he set her on a bench by the fire, grabbed a clean rag. "Water, bourbon." He pressed the cloth to her side. She winced, sharply. "Easy," he said. "Light," she gasped. "Please, it hurts." "I know," he said softly. "I'll be quick." The bleeding wasn't deep, but enough to leave a trail for trackers. He eyed the box. Old, locked. She'd clung to it like it held her heart. What was in there? Outside, the wind grew sharp, too close. Hooves echoed. They were coming. 3 men, merciless, armed, furious. They'd taken one life. Would they take another? Or was Clara Vance about to learn not all men flee a fight? Clara stirred with a cough that shook her frame. The scent of scorched metal and aged timber filled her lungs. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw him. Amos sat by the hearth, watching her, silent, just watching. Her side burned, like someone struck a spark beneath her skin. She tried to sit up, winced hard. Amos leaned in, voice steady. "Don't move too quick. You've lost blood." Clara blinked. "Thought I didn't make it." "You did, barely." She exhaled, shakily. "They killed him, Amos, I know. Beat him with a pickaxe. I heard the cracks. Then they laughed, kept tearing through the house, said he lied about the silver." Amos listened, didn't speak. "Thing is," she whispered, "he didn't have any damn silver. They think he stashed something by the shed, maybe under the steps. But Caleb never hid a thing. We barely had enough to eat." Amos rubbed his chin. "Sometimes a man boasts to the wrong soul, at the wrong hour." Clara nodded. "He loved to talk grand, said we'd strike it rich someday, promised me a farm in Montana, but it was just talk. We didn't even own the house." She glanced at the box, grabbed that on instinct. No idea why. It was under the table. Maybe Caleb hid something in it. Maybe not. But they'll come for it. Amos stood, poured bourbon into a tin mug, handed it to her. She sipped, coughed again, then panic flashed across her face. "They saw me run. They'll track me here." Amos didn't flinch. "Let him try. "You don't get it," she said. "One of them. Big fellow with a scarred lip. He worked for us last fall, patched the barn. He knows this land, knows where we live." Amos nodded slowly. "Then he knows me, too." Clara stared. "Amos, you're not planning to face them, are you?" He looked out the window. Wind was rising. Storm rolling in from the east. "Got a better plan?" She fell silent. Amos walked to the back, shifted a barrel aside. Beneath, a dusty trap door. He glanced back. "Ever hear of a bolt hole?" Clara shook her head. "Back in the war, we dug 'em behind sheds, big enough for two, quiet enough to outweight trouble." She sat up straighter. "You think they'll check the barn?" "Hope they do." He lifted the trap door. "Now, you can sit and fret, or help me set a trap they won't forget." Her eyes met his. The wind howled through the cabin's cracks, and far off, a single shot rang out. Just one. But it said everything. Amos Carver knew they weren't coming to talk. They were coming to end it. So, who'd strike first?
The shot rolled through the valley, like thunder over parched earth. Amos paused, hands on the trapdoor. Then came hooves. Slow, then quickening, closer. Clara gripped the blanket around her shoulders. "They found the trail," she whispered. Amos nodded once, calm, like a man tasting rain after a drought. He grabbed his rifle, checked it, gave her a look that spoke volumes. "Hide down there," he said. "No talking, no light." "I can help," she said. He shook his head. "Not tonight." She wanted to argue, but his eyes stopped her. Not fear, memory, the kind soldiers carry. She climbed into the dark, under the floor. Amos lowered the lid, covered it with a rug, blew out the lamps. Only the forge's glow remained, a faint red, painting the room in shadow and blood. Outside, the horses stopped. 3 voices, laughing, bold. One shouted, "Evening, old man! We're after a woman who passed through, wounded, carrying something of ours." Amos didn't reply. He moved to the side window, saw their shapes. 3 men, 2 mounted, one on foot with a rifle on his shoulder. Tired, but cruel faces lit by torchlight. Men who'd killed enough to stop caring. Amos breathed, muttered, "All right, boys, let's play." He stepped outside. Wind tugged his coat. His shadow stretched like a specter. "She ain't here," he said. The man with the rifle grinned. "Funny. Her blood trail says different." Amos smiled back. "Then you better be sure it's hers before you follow." The big one with the scarred lips spat. "Hiding her, Carver?" Amos met his gaze. "Ain't hiding anyone. But I don't take kindly to men threatening women on my land." The man laughed. "Ain't your land no more." He raised the rifle. Amos moved first. The first shot came from the forge's shadows. The second followed fast. Sparks flew as a bullet struck the anvil. Horses screamed, men yelled. From the dark, under the floor, Clara covered her ears. Her heart pounded, louder than the chaos. Then, a scream, sharp, final. The forge hissed as blood met coals. When Amos opened the trap door, smoke drifted in. His voice was steady, hands trembling. "It's done." Clara stared. "All of them?" "One's still breathing. He's gonna tell me why Caleb had to die." Take a sip of your tea or coffee, lean back and tell me, where are you at and what time is it there? If you love tales of grit and redemption, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's next. This night's far from over. The man was alive, barely, slumped by the fence, blood soaking his coat. His breath rasped, wetly. Smoke and iron hung thick in the air. Amos knelt beside him. The forge's fire flickered on their faces. "Why Caleb?" Amos asked. The man coughed, spat red, tried to grin. "He owed us." "No," Amos said. "You owed him. He paid you for that barn work." The man's eyes flicked to the shed. Amos followed his gaze. Something there. Something he feared. Amos leaned closer. "What's in the shed?" The man didn't answer. Amos pressed a rag to his wound. The man screamed. "Silver!" he gasped. "Said he had silver." Amos frowned. "Who told you that?" The man's eyes fluttered. "Someone in town," he whispered. "Old drunk. Said Caleb struck a vein by the stream. We came to take it." Amos stood, wiped his hands on his jeans. "Take it," he said softly. "You buried yourself in that dirt, boy." Behind him, the shed door creaked. Clara emerged, holding a lantern. Pale, but steady. "You shouldn't be out," Amos said. "Had to see," she said quietly. Had to know." Her eyes went to the man's body, then to Amos. "Think he's telling the truth?" Amos nodded toward the shed. "One way to find out." They pushed open the doors. Lantern light spilled over dirt, old tools, straw, and rust. Clara set the lantern down. "Nothing here." Amos kicked the ground. The sound went hollow. He knelt, brushed dirt away, found a trap door. They locked eyes. Amos lifted it. Inside, a wooden chest held silver coins, real ones, dozens of them. Clara gasped. "He was going to surprise me, said we'd buy land out west." Her hands shook as she touched the coins. Amos exhaled. He wasn't lying, after all. Silence fell, broken only by the forge's crackle. Then Clara said softly, "He died for this." Amos looked at her. "And we might live because of it." Outside, the wind shifted. Hooves echoed from the ridge, slow, heavy, too steady for strays. Amos's hand went to his gun. He looked at Clara. They weren't the only ones after that silver. So, when the next rider comes, will he be friend or foe? The hooves grew louder. Amos stepped forward, rifle in hand, shadow long across the shed's floor. Clara stood behind, gripping the lantern. The flame shook. So did her breath. A lone rider appeared, worn coat, dusty hat, no weapon drawn. He stopped at the fence, raised a hand. Amos aimed. "Who are you?" The man dismounted slowly. "Name's Harlan, sheriff from the next valley." Amos lowered the rifle, slightly. The sheriff approached the fence, eyed the shed, the bodies, the silver glinting in the lantern light. "Looks like a rough night," he said. Amos nodded. Rough enough." The sheriff scratched his chin, heard shots, came to see if anyone's still breathing. Amos glanced at Clara. She was staring at the chest, hand on the coins, eyes distant. The sheriff tipped his hat. "Bury that silver. Folks kill for less out here." When he rode off, the wind calmed, the night stilled. Amos turned to Clara. "You could take that silver, start fresh, maybe Wyoming, Idaho." She shook her head. "Don't want silver anymore, Amos. Just want peace." He nodded slowly. "Peace is trickier than silver, but sometimes it finds you when you're not looking." Dawn came, soft and gray. They buried Caleb on the ridge behind the homestead. The sun peeked through, warming the stone at his grave. Clara lingered there. Then she said quietly, "You saved my life." Amos smiled. "Maybe, but you kept me grounded." Weeks passed. The homestead quieted. The forge glowed less often. Sometimes in the calm you'd see them by the fire, talking, laughing, two souls tied by something stronger than chance. Folks in town would retell that night's tale about the widow who fled through the dark, the old blacksmith who held his ground, and they always ended it the same. Sometimes what's meant to break you shapes you instead. So, maybe that's the lesson, friend. What if the hurt you're fleeing is carving out who you're meant to be? What if the fire that scarred you lights your way? If that stirs you even a little, the story's done its work. Now, before you go, let me say this from the heart. I'm so grateful you're here, watching, listening, leaving kind words. I see your comments. Some of you stay up late with these tales, and I worry. Take care of yourselves. These stories are meant to comfort, to keep you company, not to steal your rest. If it's late, shut your eyes soon. The tales will wait. If I don't always reply, forgive me. My years are catching up, and hours at this desk, editing, wear me down more than I admit. That's why I care about my health now, and yours too. Thank you for being here, for keeping these old frontier stories alive. Now tell me, where are you listening from tonight?